Psalm 68, 4-5. Sing to God, sing in praise of his name, extol him who rides in the clouds. Rejoice before him, his name is the Lord. A father to the fatherless, a defender of the widows, is God in his holy dwelling. Studies have proven that the father role is the most influential and impactful role in a person's life, and that influence can go either way. So for me, unfortunately, as it is for many others, that impactful role caused me to have a negative view not only of myself, but of men, and even of God. When I was 11, my parents got a divorce, not by my mom's choosing, by my dad's. I remember thinking to myself, if my dad died, it wouldn't matter. But I said that in ignorance because come 2 years later, it was February 14th, and I was coming in at midnight home to see my mom, and she was waiting for me at the door, and she said, "Sweetheart, you knew I loved your father, right?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, they found Daddy in his car, and he's dead." And I assumed, oh my gosh, like, he's in a car accident. Come to find out a few years later that my dad had committed suicide, and he had rerouted the tubes in his car so that he would just fall asleep and not wake up. A few months after, I remember asking God, I don't know where my dad stood with you. I don't know what his faith was like. I just said, God, could you just let me know? Like, if he's in heaven or hell, I just need you to tell me so I have peace in myself. So about 3 months after my dad died, I had a dream, and my dad used to drive this old station wagon, and he was this tall, tan, bald guy. He got out of his station wagon, and he had his aviators on, and came over to me, and he fell down on the ground, and he took his sunglasses off, and he just kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." And I didn't know at that time what that meant, because I didn't know that he had committed suicide yet, but it gave me peace because he was in a white suit, so I just assumed that he was okay and he was in heaven. Something that happened while I was at Bible college, though, was that I started to question whether that dream I had was really from God or if it was something my subconscious made up just because I wanted to know that it was okay. And funny enough, one of the first chapels they did at Bible college in my first year was the importance of a father and child's life. And I was like, okay, see ya. I'm out. I don't want to be here. And thankfully, the dean of women came over to me. She's like, "I really want you to come sit with me. Would you come back in?" So I went back in. But the end of the message, I went straight to Pastor Paul, and he said, "Do you have unforgiveness in your heart?" And I said, "I'm just sad. Like, I'm just hurt. I don't know how to process this anymore." And he said, "Okay, I'm going to pray for you." And as he was praying, he stopped and he looked at me and he's like, I don't know what happened with your dad, and I don't want to take his place, but I feel very strongly I'm to get on my knees in front of you and tell you how sorry I am." And for me, it was this affirmation that God was being my father in that moment yet again. Something else that they did at YWAM is the Father Heart Ministry, and during that time, I was like, God, you've given me a dream, and you had somebody affirm that dream, but I still have this ache. What is going on? And he said, your father came to you in that dream, and he said that he was sorry, but you haven't said that you forgive him. And I said, oh my gosh, okay. So I wrote the 6-page letter, front and back, and it was all the things that I was angry at my dad for, things that I was angry at myself for, things that I missed about him, things I wish I could have said, how much I loved him, things that I wanted him to be part of. And I read it out loud to one of the father figures during that ministry time. And it was crazy because the next day I didn't realize it was Father's Day. And I went for a run, and every man I passed, I didn't know if they were dead, but every man I passed, I said, "Happy Father's Day, Happy Father's Day." And I knew for myself in that moment that I was healed, like I was whole, because I could celebrate the role of father in somebody else's life. It wasn't painful anymore. I remember it was a week before Johnny and I were getting married, and We were traveling to teach dance at this Art Life camp. And I just started weeping in the car. I said, God, I need my father there. If you're not going to be at our wedding, I don't want to be there either. And Johnny got this vision of rainbows. And I kid you not, that week before our wedding, it was nothing but sunshine and rainbows. But on the day of our wedding, usually sundogs, this beautiful rainbow-looking circle around the sun, only happens when there's moisture in the air. But it was a bright sunny day. There wasn't a cloud in the sky on the day of our wedding. There was a sundog, and at exactly 1 p.m. when we were to get married. And I knew that God was saying, I bless this and I'm here. I'm going to walk you down the aisle. I'm going to be here with you. And it was kind of like the conclusion of that whole journey of needing a male influence and needing male affirmation and knowing that I was loved by some father. And I've never doubted it since.